So today's topic is variation. So take note that there are different types of variation. We have the direct. After the direct variation, we have the inverse. We have the inverse variation, and after the inverse variation, we have another type, which is the partial variation, and the last one, which is the joint variation. So direct, inverse, joint, and partial. So these are 4 examples of 4 types of variation. Now, how does this work? I'm going to explain to you now how it works. So now we'll talk about the direct variation. Now, for the direct variation, you can say A varies directly as B. Now, this sign you are seeing here now means varies directly as. So this sign you are seeing here now means A varies directly as B. Varies directly as. That's what this sign means. Then we can now say, okay, this is what it means. So what you now do now is to open up this variation sign, and you now come here and say A equal to KB. Because what you do now, if you want to break this variation sign, you introduce a proportionality constant. You introduce a constant known as proportionality constant. Introduce a proportionality constant. For the direct, this is what happens. Then another one is we have the inverse. Now, if we have the inverse variation, we can say that A varies inversely as B. See, A varies inversely as B. So this sign now, in this case, we're showing varies directly. Now, in this case, we're saying varies inversely. Inversely as. That's what this sign is now meaning. When you are under inverse variation, you're dealing with inversely as. But now, if you want to introduce a constant, now you say A equal to K over B. So that K now is always on top. K is always on top. And that's the difference between the direct variation now and the inverse variation. Then we also have another type of variation, which is the joint variation. Now, under joint variation, we are saying A varies directly as C and inversely as D. You see it now, A varies. This is saying now, for example, is directly as, and now as C. Now we're not saying after varies directly as C, we're not saying inversely as D. So varies directly as C, then varies inversely as D. You see the difference, C and D. This one now is direct because it's on top. Then this one is inverse because it is under. So now you cannot relate it and check. You see, this is now under what now? Joint variation. So joint variation relates both the direct and the inverse together. You relate the direct and the inverse. Then we now have the partial variation. I just have to explain this to you first. If X varies directly as Y, and X is 7 when and Y is 7 when X is 18, find X when Y is 21. Now for this question now we explain. The first thing is if X varies directly as Y. So if X varies directly as Y, you cannot write that X varies directly as Y. That's the first part. So if X varies directly as Y, you are going to open up this using a constant. Introduce a constant which is equal to KY. X equal to KY. Now they said Y is 7 and they said X is 18. So that's the first part. Now they are now asking you find X when Y equal to 21. So what you just do is to introduce this constant here. You have X equal to 18. So you come here, 18 is equal to K times 7. So 18 is equal to K times 7. So if 18 equals to K times 7, to get K, you divide both sides by 7. So you have K equal to 18 over 7 now. Now, if K18 is equal to K equal to 18 over 7, now you now have to form the formula because you already know that X equal to KY. So if X is KY, you have that X is equal to 18 over 7Y. 18 over 7 times Y. Now, this is your formula. So if you can get that X equal to 18 over 7Y, you will now need to introduce this. Come here. So you put Y equal to 21. So you now have that x is equal to 18 over 7 times 21. 7 here 1, 7 into 21 is 3. So you are going to multiply this, and this will give you 54. So in this case, x is said if x varies inversely as y. So we have x varies inversely as y. You are not told to find say varies inversely as y equal to 4. So you are telling me that y equal to 4, x equal to 15. Then the next part, they are not telling you that find y when x equal to 6. Find y when x equal to 6. So to open this up, you write x is equal to k over y. Now if x equal to k over y, you come here and now put this. You have y is 4, and you have k here. Then here you have x is 15. So you now have that k is equal to, you cross multiply here, you have 15 times 4. And 15 times 4 will give you 60. So from here you can see k is 60. Now the thing is, if k is 60 here now, if k is 60 here, what you just need to do is to write x is equal to 60 over y. You come to this place now, we don't know what y is, but we know what x is. X is 6. So you just write 6 is equal to 60 over y. How will you get y? You cross multiply. You have 6y equal to 60. You divide both sides by 6. And that means from here you can say y is equal to what? 10. So just take note of this. X varies inversely as 1 over y. Varies inversely as y. You bring out a constant. The constant is k. K comes here. You have x equal to k over y. Then now you now have 15 equal to k over 4. 15 times 4 is 60. So from there you have k is equal to 60. Now if k is 60 here, you now put 60 here. You now have that x is equal to 60 over what? 6. 60 divided by 6 is what? 10. So that's how we got y to be what? 10. It's a very simple question. It said if x varies jointly as y and z, x varies jointly as y and z. So we now have that x is varies jointly as y and z. That jointly alone means it's a form of multiplication. So you just write x directly proportional to y and z. Then now the next step is you introduce a proportionality constant, which is x equal to k y z. Now if you can get this, the next step is just divide both sides by yz so that you can get k. So k is equal to x over yz. Now if you have gotten this k equal to x over yz, now from here we can come here and place what we have here and see what we can get. So there is this. So we now have that x equal to 6. So you're going to place 6 here now. Then y equal to 3 and z equal to 2. So from here you have 6 over 6. What's 6 over 6? 1. So from here we can get that k is 1. So if k is 1 now, you can now come in and write that x is equal to k y z. That means x is equal to yz because k is 1. So if you really need to write 1 here, you will not need to write 1 here. So you just have x equal to k y z. Well, k is 1. So you just replace it and you write 1 yz. So this is equal to yz. So you can say that x is equal to yz. So if x is yz now, what will you just do to get your value now? To get your value of x, you just come here, write 5, then you write 7, and you have x equal to yz. So x will give you 30 what? 5. Which says that x is partly constant. X is partly constant and partly varies as y. So when y is 5, x equal to 7, and when when y is 7, x equal to 8. Find the formula connecting it, then find the value of x when y is 11. So to solve this, we take it step by step. The first thing is we need to understand what it means to be partly constant. So if x is partly constant, it therefore implies that there has to be a constant that is there attached to x. Then partly varies. So it's partly constant and partly varies. So now, partly constant means, yes, this one has a constant attached. Then this other one does not have a constant attached. But it varies as what? Y. So we are relating this to what? Y. So that's the first part. Then the next part now is we are going to break this down. We are going to work with this to see what we can get out of it. So the first part is said if y is 5, x equal to 7. And if y is 7, x equal to 8. So we are going to come here now. Y is 5 equal to a times what? X. X is 7 plus b. So from here we have 5 equal to a, 7a plus b. Then the second part we have that if y is 7, we have that it is a times x is 8 plus b, and this will give us 7 is equal to 8a plus b. So from here we can use the elimination method. Just write this first, then write the elimination method. So write this first as equation 1, then we write this part as equation 2. So how do we go about this now? We have 7 is equal to 8a plus b. Then now we write 5 is equal to 7a plus b. So what we are going to do here, we are going to subtract. B minus b will go to give us 0. 8a minus 7a will give us a. Then 7 minus 5 will give us 2. So from here we can say that a is equal to 2. That's one part. That's part 1. Then from here, if we are able to know what a is, now we can be able to get b. How do we get b now? How do we get b? So we have that b, we have 7a. So already have 7 is equal to 8a plus b. So we can just come here and equate it. We have 7 is equal to 8 times 2 plus b, and this will give us 7 is equal to 16 plus b. So to do this, we take this 16 here. So we have 7 minus 16 is equal to what? B. So we have that b is equal to 7 minus 16. This will give us a minus 9. Minus 9. So we can now change this formula now. This formula that we have here. Now we can change the formula. How do we change the formula? It will now become, we already know what a is. A is what? We have that y is equal to 2a. That's going to give us 2x. Now we know that b is minus 9, so we just write minus 9. So we have y is equal to 2x minus 9. Now the second part of the question says find the value of x when y is 11. So find the value of x when y is 11. So now if y is 11 here, what will you do? You just get x. So you have 2x minus 9. You take this minus 9. Take this minus 9 here. So it will become 11. Minus is the sign here. So if you take minus to this other side, minus will become plus. So in this case, it will now become 11 plus 9 is equal to 2x. And now we can say that 2x is equal to 20. And if 2x is equal to 20, you divide both sides by 2. And you have that 2 here 1, 2 here what? 1. 2 here 1, 2 into 20 is what? 10. So we can get that x is equal to what? 10 from what we have here. So if, like I said before, if you say x is partly constant, I mean there's a constant attached to it, partly varies directly as y. So you know that there's one part that has a constant attached, then there's another part that does not have a constant attached, but it varies directly as what? Varies with what? Maybe a letter, maybe it is B, it is C, it is D, it is F. Whatsoever letter that is here will be here. So that's it.